Hi everyone. I will show you how to use the vector method and more specifically to find the acceleration. You can use the vector method also to find the velocity, but I show you how to do the velocity with the IC method. And for the acceleration, you can't use the IC method. The IC method is the IC for velocity only. So let's see how we do the vector. So what do we know? We know VA. Let me draw what we know in blue. We know VA in that direction. And we know that AA equals 0 because let's say that VA is constant. So that's really the beginning of our equations. This is coming from there. What do we also know? We know that AB will be horizontal only, so on x. So we will use that equations to start solving for our acceleration. So number one, we do AB as a vector equal AA plus alpha of the road ABD cross RB about A minus omega ABD square RB about A. And this one is a multiplication between a scalar and a vector. The first one is a cross product. The second one is a product of the scalar with the vector. So when you do this one, because AB is just on I hat, okay, with the equation on J hat, here you will have 0 on J hat equal, and there the only unknown that you will have will be alpha ABD, and you will solve for it. Alpha ABD is not 0. In fact, it's quite a lot. So step number one, you will solve for alpha. Oops, I want to draw it in blue. Alpha ABD using the equation of acceleration between B and A on J. So step number one. And step number two, here you solve for AB, and you solve for AB. Okay, that is just on X. So remember, one vector equation leads to two scalar equations. You just need to be strategic. Now that we did AB, we can find AD, okay? And we don't have information on AD. Um, you will find it on X, but you don't know that is on X. So just assume that you have a ADI and a ADJ. We will use the AD, oops, and assume that there is a ADY and a ADJ hat. Okay, ADX on I hat and a ADY on J hat. So step number, yeah, I should call that number 3. So step number 3, we will do the equations AD equal, you can use AB or AA, but AA is easier because there is a 0, plus alpha ABD that now you know, cross RD about A, minus the omega, oops, ABD square time RD about A. Okay, so when you do that, step number 3, you just find the ADX on I hat with your equation on I hat, and for the ADY on J hat. Make 2 more information. Now we have done that step, we can go to the next road, okay? Remember, there is 1 alpha, 1 omega per body, per rigid body. So we will need to find, again, alpha. So to find alpha, we need to find a way to have just one another unknown in your equation. So we will use the fact that we know that AC, that we don't know the value of AC, but we know that AC is only on I hat. Right? So this one is only on I hat, and this one is only on I hat. So we will do the equation AC, that is just on I hat, equal AD. We can use AA. You can't use AA or AB because it's not on the same road. So we need to use AD. That's why it's important to find AD. So AD plus omega of the road CDE, that we don't know, cross RC about D, minus omega CDE square time RC about D. Okay, the unknown here are the alpha CDE and the AC, but just on I hat. So we will use the equation number 5. We will use the equation on j hat because we have 0 on j hat. That's equal of only value that we know except alpha CDE. So we solve for alpha CDE. And step number 6, we use the AC on I hat, and we find the value of AC, the magnitude of AC. One final steps, the only thing that we are missing is the acceleration of AE. So AE on I, AE on J hat. Assume that we have two acceleration, two directions, because we don't know. E is not constrained into a slider. It can move any direction. So we will use the equation AE equal, you can use AD or AC. AC is maybe a bit easier because it's just on I hat, but that doesn't matter. Plus alpha CD that you now know, cross RE about C, minus omega square CDE RC about D. And with this one, step number, I know that's a lot of step, 7, we find AE on I hat, and step number 8, AE on J hat. And we have everything. Okay, and you see why is it very crucial that you know, and that's, I'm just suggesting something. What you can know if you want is maybe you can start with finding the x and the y of each point, point A, point D, point B, point C, and point E. So you found all the other things. So you pick one that is 0. Let's say your A is 0. And you can find all the dimensions. And you do first for ADB for the first road, and after that you can do with the DCE. But the position of D from A, B from A or from D, so this one or this one, and after the position for C to D and D to E are very, very crucial. They are way easier to find than the IC, because this is all, you have the angle 345, the triangle 345, and you have your angle alpha, and you have your dimension. So I think in terms of geometry, the vector method is easier, but the steps are a little bit longer. For the IC, the geometry is more challenging because we have some triangles that are not right triangles and some cosine law and sine law. But after that, applying the formula are easier.